Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, that's going to take us through the first 10 days of August. We'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. They run to around a couple of weeks. And we'll have a look at CFSV2 for the next month at the end of the video. And that will get us pretty much to the end of August. So we are increasingly running down the clock on summer 2019 now with the updates, and we'll see what could be happening over the next few weeks very short. It's been a very, very odd summer. It's really hot last week, much cooler this week, although having said that, the temperature will be lifting up a little bit over the next few days. It's going to become quite warm by the end of the week and into the weekend. However, showers will probably increase by the end of the weekend and into early next week. And it's all covered by the 5-day forecast, which was the first video released today. So have a look at that and see what's going on there. So, first thing I'm going to do is look at what's happening in the tropical Atlantic. We're at the National Hurricane Center, very, very useful website at this time of the year, of course. We've got two areas of interest. We talked about this in the video yesterday. We've got this yellow X just here around the Caribbean, and we've got another one over there in the eastern tropical Atlantic, two disturbance areas. Let's deal with this in the Caribbean first of all. Then that's disturbance 1 with a 0% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. They're saying as of 8 a.m. EDT Wednesday the 31st of July 2019, a tropical wave continues to produce disorganized showers and thunderstorms stretching from Puerto Rico to the southeast of Bahamas. This disturbance is forecast to move northwestward to northward during the next several days, producing locally heavy rainfall over portions of the Greater Antilles, the Bahamas and Florida. Conditions could become marginally conducive for development over the weekend while the system turns northeastward off the southeast US coast. It's got a 0% chance of tropical cyclone formation in the next 48 hours and just a 10% chance of doing so in the next 5 days. So it doesn't look as though this one is going to do much. It's just going to be an area of showers and thunderstorms moving in that sort of direction. And by the time it gets around here, it might start developing some sort of system, but it looks as though very low chance of that. Now, this one in the eastern tropical Atlantic does look a little bit more interesting. So let's see what they're saying about that. It's disturbance 2, and it's got a 0% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours, and a 50% chance, however, of cyclone formation in the next 5 days. So it's not going to do anything initially, but it may become quite significant in a few days' time. They're saying as of 8 a.m. EDT Wednesday, July 31st, 2019, a tropical wave located several hundred miles southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands is producing widespread cloudiness and showers over the eastern tropical Atlantic Ocean. No significant development of this system is expected for the next few days while it moves westward at around 15 miles per hour. Thereafter, upper level winds are forecast to gradually become more conducive, and a tropical depression could form by the early part of next week, several hundred miles east of the Lesser Antilles. So this system is going to do something like that, just as an area of showers and thunderstorms and cloud, gradually moving its way in that direction. But when it gets to around here, maybe the early part of next week probably, it could start to develop into a tropical cyclone, a tropical storm. And the next name on the list of tropical storms is Chantal. So it's possible, just possible, that this yellow X just here might, by the early part of next week, be Tropical Storm Chantal. We shall see, and we shall keep you posted about it over the next few days. This how the centering temperature is looking. So the CT provisional up to the 30th of July, holding up quite well really, which is a bit of a surprise because it has been pretty cool over the past few days. in the CT zone, although we are still having quite warm nights, so I suppose we've got cool days and warm nights offsetting one another to some degree. But at the moment, the CT is still at 17.9, an anomaly of nearly 2 degrees above the 61 to 1990 temperature average provisional to yesterday, the 30th of July. Now, that is subject to a downwards correction. I think you're going to have quite a big downwards correction this month. So in the end, I anticipate we're going to finish up somewhere around 17.5, maybe a little bit or above, a little bit below that. But I think that's roughly where we'll finish up, mid-17s, which is a very warm July, actually. It's pretty warm for July. It's certainly going to be above average. Nowhere near as hot as July last year, of course. July 2018 was exceptionally hot with a CT above 19 degrees Celsius. So it really was an incredibly hot July indeed that we had last year. Nowhere near as hot as that, but it does encompass, of course, the very hot weather that we had last week, including the all-time UK maximum temperature record. Well, no sign of extreme heat over the next couple of weeks. If anything, we could be seeing signs of a cooling trend the further on we go into the second week of August. So these are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for Glasgow today. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Glasgow. And we're going to be a little bit above average for the next week or so in Glasgow, a bit above average, but not a big deviation. Just a little bit above the 30-year temperature average. But then as we go into the second week of August, and that's this period just here, we are continuing to see signs of a bit of a cool down. So actually temperatures might be about to become cooler as we go into the second week of August. But I think more significantly than the temperature is actually what the precipitation is going to be doing over the next few weeks or next couple of weeks, because on the ensemble graph here we do have lots and lots of precipitation spikes from beginning to end pretty much, but particularly from around the middle of next week onwards, this period just here, from around then onwards through the second week of August, and going up to the middle of the month, it does look increasingly wet. Now, this is for Glasgow, so southwest Scotland. It's one of the wetter places in the country, very exposed to rain from the Irish Sea and ultimately from the Atlantic. But it's an indication, I think, that we could well be looking at a pretty wet first half to August. Not terribly good at all. Temperature anomalies from the 31st of July to the 8th of August. Overall, a little bit warmer than average. So this first week of July is going to be pleasantly warm. It's not going to be overly hot, but it will be pleasantly warm, especially for time over the weekend. Most parts of Europe looking a bit warmer than average, but notice how cold it continues to be across the west of Russia and also going up into the northeast of Europe around the Baltic. So it's pretty Baltic in the Baltic, even though it's the middle of summer. But it has been a very, very cool summer for the west of Europe, and for the west of Russia. And while the west of Europe has been really hot at times this summer, the west of Russia, they've been really cool. They've been stuck under a continuous trough, a dip in the jet stream within the 500 millibar flow, and they've just had a really, really miserable time of it across the west of Russia over the past few weeks. And that continues, seemingly, anyway, for the next week. Precipitation anomalies from the 31st of July to the 8th of August, close to average. These may unfortunately start to trend wetter in the coming days. This is how the GFS is looking for Saturday. So on Saturday, we do have this ridge extending down through the country. Could well bring a reasonable amount of dry and warm weather through the early part of the weekend. But as we get into the second half of the weekend and the beginning of next week, you notice pressure is becoming weaker. It's starting to turn more unsettled. Initially, we'll just have heavy showers or thunderstorms breaking out through the early part of next week. But the further on we go into next week, the more low pressure begins to deepen and starts to take over. This is a week's time. It's Wednesday, the 7th of August. We've got low pressure to the northwest of Scotland, low pressure in the middle of the Atlantic. That's turning increasingly unsettled with bouts of rain, not just showers, but bouts of heavy, persistent rain moving in off the Atlantic. That's the very unsettled chart that we have for Thursday, the 8th of August. We have low pressure to the north of the UK. More low pressure is downstream in the Atlantic. That's only going in one direction. So by Friday the 9th of August, moving up towards day 10, it is turning very wet here as low pressure sweeps in off the Atlantic Ocean. That is the unsettled looking chart for day 10, which is Saturday the 10th of August, and it looks really unsettled. Low pressure in control, bringing showers or longer spells of rain. There's more low pressure in the Atlantic just there. We move out beyond that to Sunday the 11th of August, and then we continue to look very unsettled. So that first low heading off up towards Norway. The next low is to the west of Ireland. That's deepening. That's heading our way. And notice far left of the chart there, on the far left-hand chart, that low pressure, which does look pretty deep, towards Newfoundland. I've got a feeling that is the remains, or would be the remains, of what may become, it hasn't even developed yet, but that may be the remains of what was just talking about at the start of the video, Tropical Storm Chantal. So this could be the remains of Tropical Storm Chantal that the GFS is moving up towards Newfoundland on Sunday the 11th of August. Remember, this storm hasn't even developed yet, and it may never do so, but at the moment the GFS is developing it, and I think that's the remains of Tropical Storm Chantal around Newfoundland on Sunday the 11th of August. Let's see what happens after that. Well, we turn wet and windy on Monday the 12th of August. We've got this deep area of low pressure. It does look autumnal, this, I have to say. Deep area of low pressure to west of Ireland. That's giving us a battering of heavy rain and strong winds. And the remains of Tropical Storm Chantal is just there. And that is seemingly getting caught up in the jet stream heading our way too. Here comes the remains of Tropical Storm Chantal as a deep area of low pressure on Wednesday the 14th of August, heading in to the UK, bringing another secondary battering of wind and rain, and we finish up looking like that on Friday the 16th of August. Very, very unsettled indeed, and quite cool, with winds coming in from the northwest. Just want to go back a couple of days. Let's go back to where we have Chantal beginning. So there's the remains of Chantal just there on Sunday the 11th. There's the remains of Chantal on Monday, on Monday the 12th. So at that point, it's in the Atlantic, and it's then caught up in the jet stream and moving in this direction. Of course, it's possible that this low pressure, if it does develop, might go down in that sort of direction, or it might go up towards Greenland. If it goes up towards Greenland, then it will probably start to promote high pressure across northern parts of Europe. Remember, what a tropical storm or a hurricane is doing is it's distributing heat from the tropics through the mid-latitudes, and eventually it gets it up in towards the poles, and that's where it dumps it, if you like. So it's another way that the Earth manages to cool itself down, essentially, by distributing heat around the planet. All of these storms, tropical storms, hurricanes, they're all doing the same sort of thing. Typhoons in the Pacific, they're all transporting heat from one area, from the tropicals, from a tropical area, to the mid-latitude and the polar regions. Now, if you get warmth being pushed directly into that sort of area via these tropical storms, you would tend to get high pressure developing across the north of Europe around here. It's one of the reasons why September tends to be quite an anticyclonic month. We tend to associate September in particular with quite a lot of high pressure, and the reason for that is, well, one of the reasons for that tends to be that high pressure is promoted by the remains of these tropical storms moving into sort of Greenland, that kind of area. Of course, it doesn't always work out like that, and what this particular GFS run does is gives us a direct hit from the remains of Tropical Storm Chantal. So we go very wet and windy up to the middle of August. Absolutely no sign of high pressure whatsoever. But it's always very difficult to model these remnants of tropical storms and hurricanes, and it's one of the reasons why from this point onwards through into September, sometimes into October, model reliability becomes absolutely terrible, because they do have a job to model where these low pressure systems and where these tropical storms and hurricanes are going. So anyway, thought you'd find that little interlude quite interesting. Off on a bit of a tangent, but there we go. We go through to GM. We've got this ridge building down across the country on Saturday. It's going to give us a mainly dry, quite warm start to the weekend. Through to sunny and Monday, low pressure is weakening. Showers becoming increasingly widespread. Some of them could be heavy and thundery. And through the course of next week, again, same idea. What the GFS is showing, increasingly unsettled through next week, with low pressure getting the upper hand on the weather. We finish up at day 10, which is Saturday the 10th of August, looking very unsettled. Low pressure sitting across Isle of Wales, southwest England, bringing outbreaks of heavy rain to many parts of the country. The ECM, again, the ridge extends down through the country on Saturday, giving us a pretty warm start to the weekend with a fair amount of dry weather. But through the second half of the weekend, the early part of next week, it gradually turns more showery. Initially, just showers or possibly further storms, but then through next week, as these areas of low pressure deepen and head in from off the Atlantic, turning increasingly unsettled, increasingly wet, with bands of heavy and persistent rain moving in from off the Atlantic by the time we get through to day 10, which is Saturday, the 10th of August. It's not a great outlook, you have to say, for this first half of August. This is the option we've got on the table within the ECM ensembles for day 10 today via the Icelandic Met Office. Day 10 is, of course, the 10th of August. We have 51 out of 51, so all members of the ECM ensembles look very unsettled, with low pressure in off the Atlantic, blocking area of high pressure up towards Greenland. Jet streams coming through like that. That looks pretty grim with all those ECM ensemble members for the 10th of August. 2 weeks' time, I have a few more options to go at, so this gets us to the middle of the month, 15th of August. We have these options. So I have 19 members of the ECM ensembles with blocking up towards Greenland and low pressure over into the east of the UK. They're bringing down cold northwesterly winds, or cool northwesterly winds, and they're unsettled. We have 13 with, again, below average heights, low pressure through the country. They're westerly, so not as cool, but they are unsettled. But then we've got 9 that's building up a bit of a ridge to the southwest. So just a few hints with those ones of the Azores highs, getting a little bit more of a foothold on the weather. Low pressure started to be pushed a bit further northwards. Jet stream will be going north too. So they're a little bit drier and warmer 2 weeks' time. 6 down here have low pressure extending through the northwest of Europe, high pressure up towards Greenland. Again, they're bringing in cool and unsettled conditions. And then 4, only 4, it's a very minority option, but 4 does have high pressure over Scandinavia extending through the UK towards the Azores high. Low pressure being pushed up towards Greenland, Iceland, jet stream going northwards. That is by far the warmest, driest option on the table for the middle of August. In fact, it could actually turn things quite hot. But there are only 4 members of the ECM ensembles, 4 out of sort of 51 that's doing that. So it looks very unsettled up to the 10th of August, and then head up towards the middle of the month, probably staying unsettled, but with a chance it could start to become a little bit drier and maybe a bit warmer too. Let's just have a look at CFS V2 before we go. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 31st of July to the 6th of August. The coming week has blocking towards Greenland and low pressure underneath it. It's going to be unsettled, and it's going to be increasingly cool and unsettled signals really as we go through the first week of July. Week 2 is the 7th to the 13th of July. Looks very unsettled. Below average heights, low pressure over and to the west of the UK. Jet streams coming through like that. I mean, that just really, really unsettled and pretty cool as well as going to the second week of August. Week 3 looks like that's still unsettled with below average heights over the UK, quite a deep trough coming through with jet stream like that. And then week 4 is the 21st, 27th of August. And this time we still have low pressure over the country, but we start to raise heights a little bit up towards Scandinavia and down to the southwest of the country as well. Possibly just first hints of something a little bit drier coming along for the very end of August, maybe into the beginning of September. But overall, this is looking like quite an unsettled August, to say the least, especially probably the first half of it. Now finally, if you've been enjoying the videos recently and finding them interesting, useful and informative, and we have been doing a lot of videos lately, so last week, some days last week, we were pushing out 4 videos a day, but of course, as the weather gets, we did give the daily weather videos anyway, but as the weather gets more interesting, more extreme, then it warrants more content, it warrants more output. So that's what we're here for. When the weather gets more interesting and it's warranted, we do up the output and we do up the content, and we certainly did last week. Some of the days last week was pushing out 4 videos a day. It was very, very difficult in the heat, and it left me pretty tired, but happy to do it. If you've been enjoying the videos, then please consider becoming a patron for Gaz Weathers. We have 63 patrons so far. Hello, and a big thank you to all 63 of our patrons. So if you would like to become a patron of Gaz Weathers, all you need to do is come to the Gaz Weathers Patreon page. You sign up for a Patreon account, and then you give an ongoing monthly donation to Gaz Weathers for anything from $1 a month upwards, and by doing that you will become a patron for Gaz Weathers. You're helping us to pay for our content and keep the videos online, so you'll get a shout out in the videos. We'll say thank you for doing that as long as you want one, and that's how you become a patron for Gaz Weathers. Alternatively, you can become a PayPal donor for Gaz Weathers, and if you would like to become a donor for Gaz Weathers, again, all you need to do is come to the Gaz Weathers PayPal page. You sign into your PayPal account, and then you can give a donation to Gaz Weathers. We'll give you a mention in the videos and say thank you so much for doing that, as long as you want one. If you'd rather stay anonymous and not have a mention, as a few people have chosen to do, then just leave a little note with your donation or when you become a patron, and then we'll just say thank you to this anonymous person. You'll know who you are, I know who you are, but you won't get your name mentioned in the video. But that's how you do it anyway. So big thank you to all of our patrons. A big thank you to all of our donors. You're helping us to pay for GazWeathers.com and to keep content online. So thanks so much to everybody for doing that. Right, that's it for your videos for today and for this month. It's the 1st of August tomorrow, of course, so we're into the final month of the summer of 2019 tomorrow. What will August have in store for us? Well, it certainly looks as though the first half of it is going to be pretty unsettled, but we shall see, and all will be revealed in the days and weeks ahead. That's all for now then, and thanks for watching.